Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Carrie's Gardening Channel. So today is October the 28th, 2020, and what I want to talk to you about today is giving some tips on how to overwinter plants and different house plants. Now, this is especially good for if you're new to overwintering your plants, or if you're new to overwintering house plants. And these are some tips that I wish someone would have told me when I first started overwintering plants, and I had first started gardening back in 2003, so I learned a lot. One of the things that you want to watch out for is pests. So checking the leaves of your flowers for like aphids and spider mites. Now spider mites will have like real tiny webbing, and you'll see these little things kind of crawling around all over the place on them. So a nice magnifying glass, or those magnifiers, like the visors, they're a really good thing to have around. And you can, check your plants over. I recommend checking them over like once a week, if not more, to make sure that you don't have anything going on. Now, if you do run into spider mites, I highly recommend a product called Garden Safe Neem Oil. I used that already for spider mites, and it saved my plants, so it works for me, so that's what I recommend using. Now, you can also use that for a wide range of different types of pests. And another thing that you want to watch out for is whiteflies. And like if you shake the leaves, you'll see kind of like these little tiny snowflakes sort of falling, but it's actually going to be little whiteflies flying around off of your plants. Now, if you look at the backs of the leaves, you'll see like little tiny green, like little worms crawling on them. That's the larva. So you definitely want to get rid of those if you happen to see those on your plants. Now, another thing that you want to watch out for is scale. And scale it can be black, or it can be kind of brownish, or like an orangish color. And you'll see like on your stems and your leaves, especially like on tropical hibiscuses, crotones. So scale look like, they're sort of kind of like an oval shaped, and they'll kind of be like little raised bumps sort of on the stems and leaves of your plants. And they have a really hard coating on them, which makes them harder to get rid of. So an insecticide that goes systemic, meaning it goes through the entire plant and the plant takes it up like from the root system, works really well for helping to get rid of scale. Now, neem oil is an insecticide that you can use as a soil drench, and the plant's root system will take it up and it will distribute it out through the plant, and then when the scale pierce into the stems, they'll take in the insecticide, and it will help to get rid of them. I've had to deal with them twice, and they're not fun to deal with. Another thing that you want to watch out for on your plants is mealybugs. And mealybugs look sort of like a little pile of cotton, and they'll be in the leaf axes on your plants. They'll be on the undersides of your leaves, the top sides, and neem oil works to get rid of those. You can spray your plants with neem oil to get rid of those. Now, there are some plants that you can't use neem oil on, so you always want to read the label first and make sure that the plants that you're using can actually handle being sprayed with neem oil. Now, one thing that I did forget, and I just realized I had forgotten this, is fungus gnats. Those things they multiply like crazy. The larva lives in the soil, and then as they develop, they mature into these flying they sort of look like a mosquito in a way, gnats, and they multiply like crazy. They're not fun to deal with. A few things that you can do: you can use neem oil as a soil drench. That'll help get rid of the larva. And and you can use the mosquito dunks. And what you do with the mosquito dunks is you break a piece of the dunk off, and you can put it in a gallon of water, shake the water up, and then water your plants with it. And that will actually help to get rid of the larvae from the fungus gnats. Now, they say about you can use traps to help trap the adult ones. Yellow tends to draw thrips, so I don't use yellow sticky traps. I just kind of monitor, like from seeing and watching, and if I see that the plants are starting to get some fungus gnats or something like that, I go ahead and I water with the mosquito dunks. Water all your plants with that. Unless it's an edible plant, I don't recommend using it on edible plants. And do that for a few weeks, and that should get rid of the larvae for you, and it should help you to be able to control the fungus gnat population. Now, you can let your plants go a little bit drier to help get rid of the larvae, but what I found is as soon as they start getting watered again, they kind of come back. So that's my recommendation for dealing with them. So when your plants come in from outside, your watering is going to be differently. Inside, most people have like a hot heat or a forced heat. Now, we have radiant heat in our house, so that's not a drying heat. It's a heat, but it's not like a wood stove or like an electric heat. It's a different type of heat. So depending on what type of heat you have, you will want to check your plants for water, make sure that they're staying nice and watered. If your plants get too dry, it can lead to spider mites attacking them, and you want to keep your soil moist but not soggy, and you want to also think about lighting. So a few different lighting options. You can use LED lights, which are LED fluorescent lighting. If they have the daylight bulbs in them, works very well for your plants. And if you want them to flower, 14 hours a day for the light to be on. If you're not really worried about them flowering, you can have the light on less. You can set it on an automatic timer and just have it come on at certain times of the day, or however you wish to set it up. They do have out the LED grow lights that are pink, like the LED Shanks light grow light. Now, I do have one of those. The only thing with that light, it is very bright, and if you're going to be around it or something like that, you really should be wearing sunglasses, because they tell you to wear sunglasses so that you don't damage your eyesight. So that particular type of light, and there's a lot of different lights out that have the blues and the pinks, and it literally glows pink when you have it plugged in. It's very bright. That's not exactly something that I would recommend for if you're going to be having it like in your living space, because again, it is very bright, and they do recommend wearing the sunglasses around it. So maybe if you're putting them in a room where you're not going to be in it, then one of those lights would work. But if it's going to be in your actual living space, then for me personally, I wouldn't put that light there. Now, I did use them down in my growing room, and I wasn't down there too often, but I just made sure I didn't look at the light or look into the light. But we didn't let Mikey down there when it was plugged in or anything like that. We kept him, away from the light. You can put them in southern facing windows. That will help too, from the light coming in. And some people do overwinter their stuff in the basement, and that's how I did a lot of my stuff before I had all the light setups and stuff. Some stuff didn't like the low light. I did lose some stuff, and checking your water, making sure your plants aren't sitting in water is very important too, because you don't want your plants sitting in water. That's a very bad thing. It can lead to root rot, and not gonna be very happy with your results. And definitely use plant saucers and stuff under your containers, so that you don't have water running all over the floor. And Another thing that you do want to watch is they can, if you have like a whole lot of plants, it can raise the humidity in your house. So you do have to, kind of watch out for that. Now, if you have a dryer heat, it's probably going to dry it better. But because we don't have a dry heat like a wood stove in the house, it did raise the humidity in the house some. And we run dehumidifiers anyway, but that is something you do want to watch out for. Check your plants over for spiders before you bring them in, because spiders do like to go on them, and sometimes you'll get a mouse that'll try and make his home in your potted plant, so make sure you check for that before you bring it in. And let's see, we did pests, lighting, watering, feeding. Your plants usually don't need as much food during the winter time, but if you want to just give them a light feeding, cut it down half strength, and always make sure, you can feed them like once every 2 weeks. Just always make sure that your soil is moist before you go ahead and feed your plants so you don't burn the root systems on them. During the winter time, your plants normally don't need as much food, but if you have like the lights set up and they're blooming, then go ahead and feed them once a week, because they're going to need that extra food because of, they're blooming and everything that they're doing. So, let's see. I think that's about it for that. Watch out for Borcher's blight. Water your plants in the morning. I'm not a big fan of misting the leaves of your plants. I know it can raise humidity around them, and I used to see like little people put containers out with like little pebbles and stuff, and they fill it with water, and it kind of evaporates up, and it gives the plants humidity. Some plants like a lot of humidity, so if your house is really dry, you might have to raise the humidity around your plants by using something like that. You can mist the leaves. I'm not really a fan of that. What I find can happen is if your leaves don't dry before nightfall, it can lead to fungal diseases and diseases on the leaves. So that is something you want to take like into consideration. If you want to do that like real early in the morning, go ahead and kind of mist over your plants, just like a gentle mist. You can go ahead and do that if you choose to. It's just something that I'm not a big fan of doing. Now, African violets, they do not like to get their leaves wet. So I don't recommend spraying those plants, because you'll get spots on the leaves, and it's just not a good thing to do. If you want to raise the humidity around those, do the little trays of water. Just not that the plant's sitting in water, but you just kind of put some little trays around with some water in, and as it evaporates up, it'll raise the humidity some. So I hope that you find these tips helpful, and I hope you have a great overwintering season with your plants. So if you like my video, please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the little notification button. That'll tell you as I put a new video on. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'll have a link down in the description for my Twitter account. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day. Bye!